Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are pressing their lips together. They might be in love, they might be saying goodbye, they might be meeting for the first time. And if you've ever kissed someone you were attracted to, you probably didn't stop to think about how strange the whole thing actually is. You take another person's face in your hands. You move closer, you close your eyes, and then you press the most sensitive part of your mouth against theirs. You don't need instructions, you don't need practice, your body just seems to know what to do. But here's the strange part. Why? Why lips? Why another person's mouth? And why did humans ever decide that putting your mouth on someone else's mouth was a good way to express love? Because kissing feels like one of the most natural things humans do. But when anthropologists looked around the world, they found something deeply strange. Romantic kissing isn't universal, and that changes the entire story. In 2015, anthropologists William Jankowiak, Shelley Volsha, and Justin Garcia tried to answer a deceptively simple question. Is romantic kissing actually a human universal? They examined evidence from 168 cultures around the world. And they weren't counting kisses on the cheek, they weren't counting greetings. They were looking specifically for romantic sexual kissing, prolonged lip-to-lip contact between intimate partners. The result was surprising. They found evidence of romantic kissing in only 46% of the cultures they studied. That means more than half of the cultures in their sample showed no evidence of the practice. And in some societies, the idea wasn't simply unfamiliar, it could seem disgusting. People who had never grown up seeing romantic kissing didn't necessarily look at it and think, of course, that's what people in love do. They could look at two people kissing and think, why would anyone do that? That's the part that should bother us. Because if kissing were simply hardwired into human nature, you'd expect it to show up almost everywhere. But it doesn't. So now we have a mystery. If humans didn't all independently discover kissing, where did the behavior come from? For a long time, researchers pointed toward ancient India as the earliest known written evidence of kissing. Some Vedic Sanskrit material has been interpreted as describing intimate behavior involving smelling or breathing in the other person's breath, and later, Indian texts contain clearer references to kissing. But there is an important complication. Recent research has pushed the evidence for kissing even further back. Texts from ancient Mesopotamia, dating to roughly 4,500 years ago, contain references suggesting that kissing was already part of romantic and sexual intimacy. So the oldest written evidence doesn't give us a satisfying answer. It only gives us a new question. Was kissing invented once and spread across the ancient world? Or did different human societies discover it independently? We don't know, and that's important. Because the archaeological record can't tell us what people did with their lips tens of thousands of years ago. Soft tissue leaves almost no trace. There is no ancient skeleton with a note saying, they definitely kissed. So the true origin of kissing remains hidden somewhere between biology, culture, and human imagination. But there is another clue. And this one is sitting on your face right now. Your lips are extraordinarily sensitive. They contain a dense network of sensory receptors, allowing the brain to detect extremely small differences in pressure, movement, and temperature. Which means a kiss isn't just contact, it's information. When your lips touch another person's lips, you're suddenly receiving a huge amount of sensory input at very close range. Their skin, their warmth, their smell, their taste, their breathing, and yes, their saliva. Your conscious mind may simply register, I like this person, but your nervous system is processing much more. And this is where kissing gets interesting, because researchers have proposed that kissing may serve as a form of mate assessment. In other words, a kiss might help you decide whether you actually want someone before your conscious mind has completely figured it out. Studies on romantic kissing have found that people consider kissing important in assessing potential partners, and that an initial kiss can significantly influence attraction. Think about what that means. You might spend weeks talking to someone. You might like their face, their personality, their sense of humor. You might even tell yourself, this person is perfect for me. And then you kiss them. And suddenly, something feels wrong. You don't know why. You just know. The attraction drops. This happens often enough that scientists have become interested in a strange phenomenon. A kiss can change how attractive someone feels almost instantly. Not because the person suddenly changed, they look exactly the same. Their personality hasn't changed. Their voice hasn't changed. But now you've received another layer of information, and that information can alter your perception of them. This doesn't mean your brain is secretly performing a perfect genetic compatibility test. That's a popular idea, but the evidence is much less certain than internet explanations make it sound. For example, researchers have investigated whether human attraction is influenced by differences in immune system genes such as MHC/HLA. Some studies have reported effects in body odor preferences, but larger reviews have found the overall evidence inconsistent, so we should be careful. A kiss is not a magical DNA scanner, but it may still be doing something surprisingly useful. It brings two people close enough for the brain to collect a huge amount of sensory and emotional information in a few seconds. And that may be one reason kissing became such a powerful part of courtship. Now we reach the strangest part. If kissing is useful, why didn't every human culture develop it? Maybe because kissing isn't the solution. It's one solution. Humans have many ways of getting close to another person. We smell each other. We touch. We hold hands. We rub noses. We share food. We watch someone's face. We listen to their voice. We learn how they react to physical proximity. Different cultures can turn different forms of intimacy into rituals. And the cross-cultural evidence suggests something fascinating. Romantic kissing was more common in societies with greater social complexity. That suggests kissing may not be some ancient human command buried unchanged inside our DNA. It may be something more interesting. A cultural invention built on top of older biological instincts. The need for closeness is ancient. The need to choose partners is ancient. The attraction to touch, smell, warmth, and intimacy is ancient. But the particular ritual of pressing lips together, that may have been something humans learned and then taught to their children. Until eventually, it stopped feeling learned at all. It started feeling natural. This is how culture can become invisible. You were never formally taught how to kiss. Nobody sat you down at age 12 and gave you a manual. But you probably saw it in movies. You saw adults do it. You saw it in stories. You learned what a romantic kiss was supposed to mean long before you ever experienced one. And then, when the moment finally came, your brain already knew the script. That's why a culturally learned behavior can feel instinctive. You don't remember learning it, so you assume you were born knowing it. But that doesn't mean it was written into your genes. And kissing gives us a beautiful example of the difference between human nature and human culture. The desire for intimacy may be ancient. The ritual we use to express it can be invented. There's something else about kissing that makes the whole story even more interesting. You don't kiss everyone. In fact, the closer someone is to your romantic life, the more important kissing can become. A stranger's face can be beautiful. A celebrity can be incredibly attractive. Someone can look perfect on a dating app. But the moment you actually get close enough to kiss them, your brain gets a different kind of evidence. And sometimes, the fantasy collapses. That's because attraction isn't just visual, it's multisensory. Smell matters, touch matters, voice matters, Proximity matters. And kissing combines many of these signals into one tiny behavior. That's why a kiss can sometimes tell you something your eyes couldn't, not because your lips possess some mystical evolutionary superpower, but because getting physically close removes the distance that attraction can hide behind, and that might explain something you've probably experienced. You can want someone desperately until you actually get close. Then suddenly you don't. After all this, we still don't have one definitive answer. And that's actually the most honest answer science can give us. We don't know exactly when humans began kissing. We don't know whether it evolved once or emerged independently in different places. And we don't know whether its original purpose was bonding, sexual attraction, mate assessment, cultural ritual, or some combination of all four. But we do know something important. Kissing is not simply a universal human instinct. It is a behavior shaped by biology and culture working together. Our biology gave us sensitive lips, a powerful sense of smell, a nervous system that responds to touch, a brain obsessed with attraction, bonding, and social connection. And culture gave those biological ingredients a ritual that eventually became so familiar that we stopped seeing it as a ritual at all. We just call it a kiss. So think about the last person you kissed. You probably remember the moment. Maybe you remember where you were. Maybe what they were wearing. Maybe what it felt like. But here's what you probably don't remember. You were participating in a behavior you never had to consciously learn. A behavior that isn't even practiced by every human culture. A behavior whose origins are thousands of years old and probably much older. A behavior that combines touch, smell, taste, emotion, and expectation in a few seconds. And perhaps that's what makes kissing so fascinating. We think we're expressing love, and we are. But underneath that conscious meaning is something much older. Your brain is constantly asking, can I trust this person? Do I want to get closer? Does this feel right? Do I want more? And you don't hear those questions as words. You feel them, sometimes as attraction, sometimes as comfort, and sometimes as that strange moment when someone looks perfect, but the kiss tells you otherwise. So the next time you kiss someone, don't think of it as a simple expression of love. Think of it as something much stranger. A cultural ritual built on ancient biological instincts. A behavior humans learned so well that we eventually forgot we had learned it at all. And somewhere, right now, two people are pressing their lips together and calling it love. They may think they're following their instincts, but they might actually be doing something far more human, turning biology into culture, and culture back into instinct.